Township public meeting. All participants are now informed that this meeting is being recorded. This meeting is also being offered virtually utilizing Zoom, which is a cloud-based platform for remote video and audio conferencing. The Zoom application is free to the public. The general public is therefore able to join by connection through the internet or by calling in by phone. The public is also able to observe the meeting on the township's YouTube channel. Please continue to check the township website calendar for any updates related to these public meetings. Agendas for these public meetings will also be available on the township's website. Please be reminded that this meeting is being video and audio recorded and will be posted to the township's YouTube channel for viewing. The meeting will now proceed with the chairman calling the meeting to order and identifying all other members present in the meeting room and those joining the meeting via Zoom. The chairman will then confirm those members joining by Zoom can be heard.
Okay, welcome to the Monday, October 21st, 2024, East Lampere Township Board of Supervisors meeting. My name is Corey Meyer and I'm the chair. I have with me Supervisor Ted Gallagher, Vice Chair Ethan Demme, Supervisor Mike Thornton, and Supervisor Roger Rutt, and the staff joining us as well. There are agendas and meeting minutes in the back of the room. Please sign in to be part of the record. Please join me in the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice.
Number 3 on the agenda, we have public comment for non-agenda items only. During public comment for non-agenda items. Okay, we'll move on. We have 4. We have the consent agenda. We have 4A, approval of the October 21st Board of Supervisors meeting agenda. The only changes, gentlemen, we do presentation regarding LEMSA from Mr. Bob May. He is absent. I believe we're scheduling that to November 18th. Correct. Okay, great. No other changes to the agenda. We have 4B, approval of minutes of the Monday, October 7th, 2024 regular meeting. We have 4C, offer of time extension for township review and action, Chick-fil-A Land Development Plan 2407, 2457 Lincoln Highway East. Requested additional time. I'll provide township until April 21st, 2025 to act on the plan. This is the second 100-day time extension. And that was submitted as a new application when the applicant was unable to complete the work necessary for land development. Then we have 4D, approval of pay invoices from all funds, total $438,129.36. 3 large bills of note, $191,880.24 to Morgan Stanley for deposit of pension plans, state aid received. And then $19,681.17 to Groff Tractor and Equipment Incorporated for a backhoe main boom repair. Oh, $16,600. What did I say? Sorry, $16,681.17. Thanks. And then lastly, $10,644.61 to Oxon Enterprises for taser supplies. I believe that is it for our consent agenda. To approve the consent agenda. Okay, motion.
Consent agenda items A through D.
Second, Mike. Any board or public comment for the consent agenda? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Consent agenda passes. Thank you. Okay, Chief, swearing in a new police officer, Officer Jared Curtis.
You gentlemen, we have the opportunity to add a compliment to our police department, and this time I'd like to ask Officer Jared Curtis to come forward. Gentlemen, this is Officer Jared Curtis, current officer with Shippensburg Borough Police Department, where he has been employed for the past 2 years. He's a graduate of the Harrisburg Community College Police Academy. I believe that's correct one there. Yep. And he has passed all of our background requirements, and I would like to finalize his hiring by swearing him in this evening.
Great. My honor. Okay, just repeat after me. I'll try to keep it into. Yeah. I, name,
I, Jared Kurtz,
date of birth,
12/12/2000,
being duly appointed police officer of East Lancaster Township in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania,
being duly appointed police officer of East Lancaster Township in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania,
do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution and laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and the ordinances of East Lancaster.
do solemnly swear that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States of America, Constitution and laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and the ordinances of East Lancaster Township.
And I will serve the citizens honestly and faithfully by discharging the duties of my office with honor and fidelity.
I will serve the citizens honestly and faithfully, discharging the duties of my office with honor and fidelity.
I will perform all of my duties as a police officer in accordance with the law.
My duties as a police officer in accordance with the law.
And that I will obey orders and conduct myself at all times in accordance with the rules and regulations set.
And I will obey orders and conduct myself at all times in accordance with the rules and regulations set forth by the department.
I will enforce the law courteously and appropriately without any consideration of class, color, creed, condition, race, sex, age, sexual orientation, national origin, or ancestry, handicap, or disability, never employing unnecessary force or violence, and never accepting gratuities.
We will enforce the laws courteously and appropriately without any consideration of class, color, creed, condition, race, sex, age, sexual orientation, national origin or ancestry, handicap or disability, never employing the necessary force or violence, and never accepting gratitude. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Officer Kurtz is always in prayer. Yes. Officer Kurtz, typically we introduce our family. Right. So introduce.
So this is my father, Jared Kurtz, actually just retired from Colorado PD.
Thank you, sir.
This is my mother Julie, my sister Jenna, and my girlfriend Al.
We thank you because I know you all know it's a big commitment to have a loved one as a police officer. I've said this before, the job, it's easier now than it ever will be. It's going to keep getting more difficult, the job as a police officer. So we, as a board, are so thankful for all the guys and gals in the back, and appreciate you joining the force. So good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
You're welcome to stay, but.
So you're gonna have to yeah.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have 7 old business, 7A, for planning module resolution regarding Ambleside Land Development Plan 2414, 171 Old Philadelphia Planning. Yes. You're here to, I was just going to give us some background on this one.
Board has previously adopted and the BP fell. So they asked us to have you re-adopt it.
Thanks for coming back. Yeah. Gentlemen.
Make a motion to approve sewer planning module regarding Ambleside Land Development Plan 24-14, 2071 Old Philadelphia Pike as presented.
Motion made by Ethan, second by Ted. Any public comment or board comment for this item? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Good luck. Again. Hopefully we'll see you again, right? Okay. 8, new business Calumet Land Development Plan 2405, 2257, Old Philadelphia Pike.
Hi, good evening.
Chris and RTS Associates, meeting representatives of Calumet Associates. And the purpose of why we're here this evening is proposed land development. What I'd like to do is just briefly go through the background of the project and review the current status on our municipal reviews, as well as other agencies, and then wait and answer any questions you may have in action this evening on the land development plan. So the background of the project is the final, it is at 2257 Township. About 12.5 acres. It is in the I-1 light industrial zoning district. And we have up on the screen, you can see in the rendered area, that's essentially the limits of the project. Philadelphia Pike can be positioned on the north side of Philadelphia Pike. We're proposing a 36,000 square foot, 3-story office building, a renovation to the existing former Lancaster Mennonite School to convert that building into approximately 42,000 square feet. North side, a field of solar panels, as well as any associated parking and utilities to serve the project. Access to the site will remain utilizing the existing driveway that's on Old Philadelphia Pike today. And as far as stormwater management goes, for the proposed improvements and the increase in impervious, we are looking at proposing 2 MRC bioretention facilities, and corner, essentially that's a low point in the site today where there is a current stormwater management facility. And then another one in the southwest corner for a surface facility, along with also a supplemental below ground surface grade filtration facility. We already been through extensive reviews with the conservation district and with DEP. We have obtained the NPDS permit for the project associated with the stormwater management. As far as water service, it would be the city of Lancaster as it is today, servicing the project or the property. And then from the sewer standpoint, it's Lancaster Township, being a redevelopment in this case, the property already has a significant amount of sewer already allocated to it. So in this case, our capacity does not exceed what's already been allocated to the property. So we're not going through a sewer plant. Yes. That's at least a brief background on the project. As far as where we stand, we do have received our September 25th review letter. We shall do that letter. We don't have any objections or concerns to address that letter to satisfy what remains there. Again, I'm happy to walk through that letter if there's a desire to do so. You'll see the modifications that were requested as part of the plan, which again, I'm happy to walk through theirs one by one.
I personally don't need you to go one by one through any of them. If there are any questions from the board on any of those or from staff, I'm happy to have those questions answered by the applicant. So let's give the board a few minutes just to some good questions. Again, feel free just to speak up and answer the question. Chris.
Just a waiver of the conveyance pipe material or public issue there. Recommended to be granted as a condition that it be reinforced concrete pipe here.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, we're fine with that. I think DMA's letter outlined that, and we actually, I double checked today just before coming to the meeting to make sure our plans do depict that. It does follow CP material.
Any other questions from staff?
No.
Okay. Chris, any other comments? Plan.
No, I just think from the standpoint of the discussion with the planning commission, they asked about a response to the LCPC comments, which we did provide responses in our 9-5 resubmission. And then there was a part of their recommendation to make sure we address the 23 letter from East Lancaster staff that goes back to the sketch plan, which again, we don't have a problem. We can make sure we address that in the resubmission. Yeah.
Any other questions from the board?
Of course, so we don't have in this package around the LCPC letter
I don't see that.
or the draft engineer report.
We should have a Ruth Miller letter dated October 7th.
That.
Road Miller. LCP's. Yeah.
Maybe I missed it. See, September 5th, either September 25th, EMA, who's, September 5th, maybe, is it?
They are referenced in, this is response. If you're looking for the answers provided by county planning commission or county planning department.
You see Chris's letter.
This is most on 5 letter.
Got it. I see it. Yeah. And the LCPC comments on the 1-5 letter are. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yes. Yeah. Lighting plan, science lighting, those notes have been determined. Okay. Any other questions for the applicant?
Regarding the Ruth Miller comment that is the meeting, the response. That's just often provided.
We have a draft response that we will include in that final package to the township, essentially after talking to the traffic engineer, what he had asked me to provide. Based on information provided by the client, daycare services have been removed from the project program. There are no interaction associated with the daycare from the existing building on the adjacent parcel. As a result, the village development has an impact on Shelley Drive.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Comfortable with the county LCPC's letter and DMA's letter, Road Miller letter. I'll make all those main items for staff too. Okay.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to initially approve the plan subject to review comments provided by the township engineer, Dave Miller. Letter dated September 25th, Grove Miller's letter dated October 7th, and the Lexington County Planning Commission letter that RGS responded to in their response.
Okay, motion made by Ethan, second by Ted. Okay, any board or public comment? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, we have 9 discussion items for nuisance hotel ordinance. Chief Hutch.
Yeah, we shared information with the board, chief had prepared year of the implementation of the meetings. And that was at the last meeting of the meeting. And as that discussion went on, the board felt that this was an item that we discussed further. Chief was going to be here in the room tonight. I thought it might be a good opportunity to continue that discussion. The area that I think the discussion sort of pointed to was related to the length of time that we currently have in the ordinance for reviewing events that trigger under the ordinance. It's currently 60 days. So if you accumulate Yeah, three and 60 days. Then that triggers the next step where the chief goes out and talks to the property management about those events and how to address them going forward. And we did have two locations where that was triggered during the past year. There were other locations where we actually had higher numbers of events, but they didn't fit within that 60-day window. And so if the board was looking to, try to capture more of those locations, that window would have to be
Sure.
longer.
Yeah, well, right.
There certainly could be other points of discussion we want to have about the ordinance, but
Yeah.
that's where the discussion is.
Yeah, I'd love to hear any feedback from the chief and, the force about it's been helpful or any suggestions on it. So,
Well, the ordinance, in my opinion, has been very helpful, and where that's most noticeable are the calls that are generated from hotel staffs. When we talked about passing this ordinance, we had literally less than 10% of our call volume be called in by front desk personnel or employees of the hotels. And now we are probably in the neighborhood of 60% of our calls. So what has brought that about? Because simply explain to them that if they're the ones calling for any reason, then it's not going to count as a mark against them. So thus we're trying to get the staff to be proactive about the issues that they do have. And when we had the two meetings with two of the hotels that you have in front of you there, and in both scenarios, it was a situation where one of the requirements was the owner has to get together with their staff and provide them with training as to, even if it's just a sit down and a talking to, it's like, hey, we have to be the first people to call on ourselves if we have a problem, something that's occurring. And I think that has had a tremendous effect. And also numerically, you can see that in the last 6 months compared to the first 6 months, we were close to half as many violations that we had in the first 6 months. So word is also spreading amongst the hoteliers as well. But as you see, when you see the list of hotels down at the bottom of that paper, you'll see some other hotels named on there where we didn't have mentions take place, even though they have higher numbers. And the reason for that is because they're continuing to have violations of the ordinance, but those violations are outside of 60-day window. It might get two within a 60-day window, and then 30 plus days will go by. One of those drops off, and then you have another one. So you still have two within 60 days, but that kind of thing happens here. You're dropping one from earlier, adding later on. Do the problems go away? No, that's never going to happen, but we've made an impact to the tune of about 100 calls in the past year. That's positive. So, if you gentlemen were to consider lengthening the amount of time, I could understand why. And I would like to say, I would hope that the progression that the ordinance is having, that maybe next year at this time when I'm reporting, maybe we have a 90-day window, but maybe I don't have oodles more action items. Maybe I have more than two, but just the fact that hopefully this continues to grow the self-reporting part.
A question. Do you have any indication where ownership will be telling their staff not to call?
No, I don't. Now that you mention it, for some reason, I'm thinking that there wasn't some accident, but I can't for the life of me tell you which hotel that might have been, but I'm actually forgetting what instance it's brought something to mind. I just can't.
So,
oh, sorry. Yeah, right.
So the ordinance, is this for you and township staff, are you going to be mailed again first week of January, or how do we keep this relevant and fresh is the word? how should we, tell these group owners that we're serious about this, both for their business and for our police staff? So how should we keep it fresh?
Well, whether you make a change to the ordinance or don't make a change to the ordinance, I think it would be helpful to send a copy of the ordinance again to each hotel's ownership so that it gets in front of them. Beyond that, I'd be open to ideas.
I mean, maybe,
Maybe that's something we overlooked, or maybe staff is doing that.
No, I don't think that's been done.
Okay. Maybe we should think about that and even have an officer, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Wow.
It's just like, you know, keep it fresh.
Is there any change in the nature of the call because the hotel employees are making? In other words, are they calling earlier on something they may have waited until it got worse? Oh, now we really got to call the police.
Definitely calling earlier. The other thing that's happening is when we are getting called, their minds have already been made up if they're evicting those people for the night. So we'll get a call, we'll come there to handle the problem. And as we're sitting there addressing the problem with the people that are causing the problem, the representative of the hotel says, they're done, I want them out. It's happening much more, but
I also wonder, especially in the chronic cases, if that word gets out among hotel guests and other people who maybe repeat, occupiers of our hotels, and they may not be up to, up to any good in being here. I'm just wondering if that would be interesting to know from their standpoint. So if you were to say, what's the highest value thing we're getting out of this? Obviously, there were less calls
yes,
that the police had to come to.
right.
You hope that that's a good thing, you know what I mean, rather than things going on and we don't know about it.
And a larger percentage of those calls being called in by employees of the hotel themselves.
Okay.
So where in the past, number was higher, more of a blind eye being turned to it,
Yeah.
now less of a blind eye and lower number.
And then I guess the other measurement would be the township residents that are living nearby that certainly have come to tell us about the issues that they have. So it's hard to measure that, but thanks.
the behaviors listed under what a nuisance activity is, just rereading that list. Are there any activities or behaviors that we may have missed? Passing, I don't see that as an example.
Right.
Are there any others or?
If there was anything in terms of the items on the list, as I recall, there was like one item where I thought or two that we might remove from the list.
Okay, okay,
And they were a little too restrictive,
okay,
but I can't think of anything that needs to be added to the list.
okay. I think we're open to, feedback, either, clearly we would have to update this through a process, but and just to be clear, the 2-month or 60-day period is under section 4B. And it reads, when the chief of police or his or her designee receives documentation confirming the occurrence of 3 or more nuisance activities enumerated in section 2, which is that list of this ordinance, within a 60-day period in any hotel, the chief of police or his or designee may issue a written warning to the person responsible for such hotel that the hotel is in danger of becoming a chronic nuisance hotel. That section is where you're suggesting maybe that 60 days moves to 90 days.
Right.
Thoughts from the board on that 60 to 90 day change in the section I just read?
Yeah, I'd love to see sort of recommendations from chief talking with staff and then come back with maybe a draft, but I think the initial one of any recommendations you have to change the list of behaviors as well as I think the low-hanging fruit is 90 days or 6 or more in 12 months. You can add a secondary piece.
Right. Yeah, either
Someone's just spacing them out. I mean, it's one of is it a nuisance hotel if it's 3 and 90 days, basically one every month, or
Yeah.
one rooms,
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea.
or 10 in a year? It doesn't quite trigger it, but
Yeah, it's a good suggestion. Other thoughts?
I think whatever we can do to
Yeah.
crack down.
Yeah, so Chief will ask you just to work with staff to come up with, some ideas and we'll get through the process.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then I would agree, maybe a communication to the hoteliers of the updated ordinance as well. Now, good. Anything else for Chief? Yeah, thanks for coming in. Thanks for getting it off on the road. Supervisors, two other. Any other supervisor discussion items?
just quick follow-up, 2 weeks sort of brought up at our last meeting. Haven't really had time to dig into, so I think we will have some more questions on some guidelines regarding homelessness, but I know Supervisor Thornton offered to continue that discussion, so I look forward to that. We just haven't had time to catch up, and I think there was also a potential discussion on looking at our fee in lieu of parklands. But again, it's been so close.
Yeah.
Give staff a little time to gather some information, give us some time to process it, and so expect to see those on a future meeting.
I will have, most likely for the next meeting, I want to have a discussion regarding the ball field use by CD.
Okay.
Changing the ordinance for the pavilion rentals.
Okay. If you want to talk to staff prior, just to have them put together any information that will help us with that discussion, that'd be great. Sounds good. Okay, so we have those items. If we're ready to have those discussions at the next meeting, just please reach out directly to staff and we'll get it on the agenda. Sound good? Okay, 10 action items. A resolution to accept dedication right away at Hotel Project 2151 Lincoln Highway East Touch.
Yeah, this project was completed some time ago, but on the plan that was approved and supported, it was indicated that right away along Lincoln Highway would be offered for dedication. Having gone through or into the process of working with the streetscape improvement in that area, they've indicated that having this right of way would be helpful to that process. So we just asked the owner to move along and make the offer of dedication, and they've done that. Visitors provided the ordinance. And we're also the dedication that we accomplish. First step in that process where the right of way would be dedicated to the township, and then there'll be a second step where we'll have to convey that right of way to PennDOT so that it becomes part of their right of way and can be included in the streetscape project. That'll come in a future meeting. Okay.
Motion to accept the resolution.
Motion to accept the resolution, dedicating the right of way for Avid Hotel Project 2151 Lincoln Highway East.
Okay, motion made by Mike, second by Roger. Any public comment or board comment? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed or abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, we have 11A, Manager's Report.
I just want to go quickly back over a couple of things that are happening with the Lancaster Heritage Pathway efforts. We have the one project that's being funded with CFA grant money to design improvements that would connect at the end of Oak Grove Drive, providing a small trailhead, and then from there out to Pitney Road. It goes through that neighborhood with Oak Grove Drive and Willow Lane. So that's underway. Provided a copy of a flyer that planning to mail out to all those property owners in that area to make sure that they're aware of the project, and that the surveyors or our consultants will be out there gathering information in the neighborhood that would help with the design process. Of course, there'll be a lot of public involvement. We get to a point where we have something we can show them as options for what those improvements might look like. Secondly, the two projects that were both funded with county smart growth transportation program funds to continue the Heritage Pathway to the west, one that would go along Walnut Street and the other that would go from the intersection of Oak Grove and Pitney down Pitney somewhere and connect back over to Walnut Street to kind of create a little local loop in the trail system. Both of those are finally underway. Process of getting to that point with NDOT's system is very difficult, but we've gotten through all that with Tara's persistence. And so they're underway. It's the same consultant that's doing those projects. And we're also working with Manheim Township and Lancaster City because both of those would be involved in those efforts along with it. So
We don't have a rough of the loop yet.
not on paper. Yeah,
There's a few options that could be taken along Pitney because Pitney's not the best option itself. So there's some consideration to go behind houses.
public. Well, we're going to finally get them underway and start working.
Okay, anything else from staff? And then there are a few open positions that we do need to fill. So if you have people that are interested in these great volunteer positions, please let staff know. Okay, motion to adjourn. Second by Mike. Motion made by Tim. Any public comments, board comments? Any motion to adjourn? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Abstentions.